maintaining 23 filtration systems and sheds for the people in our county and the county below us. This needs to be known. Cabot does not show this on Cabot Tours. This needs to be known. And this is what I do. I expose the things that Cabot will not expose. I show the contamination to our precious aquifer. Once you contaminate an aquifer, how will it clean up? Will we ever have it back? These are all very iffy questions and results. This should not be allowed. All fossil fuels pollute, and they're also risky. We've already had 3 explosions in our county of compressor stations in the past 2.5 years. Leaks of gas and explosions. Who will be the next victim? We've had people die and get killed and burned on sites in our state. Who will be the next one?
Your reaction to Cabot saying you're testing the limits?
I am testing the limits of a citizen who's concerned and not willing just to take whatever is dished out to her. I'm willing to stand up for my rights and the rights of everyone in this community and let the world know what's happening. That's why I have tours. People come to me. I don't go to them. They come to me every week, and I have tours 1 to 3 times a week and show the world what's happening and warn them. Do not allow this in your communities, next to your homes, on your farms, on your school property. We have gas wells on school property and the farms and where our food is produced. This should not be allowed. And we need to have truly green energy. Green energy that's safe and affordable for everyone and not polluting.
You said you made it clear you don't like this injunction and you don't think it's fair. Why not go ahead and follow it? Why not be like some protesters and be nonviolent resistance?
Because I'm making a point just by exposing them and showing whatever I can that can be seen from the public road beyond the restrictions that I have. And I've been able to show enough so that whenever people come, they're horrified. They go back and they fight and they decide not to allow it in New York State, in Maryland, in Delaware, and in various countries around the world. So I've been able to be effective without doing that. So I don't feel it's necessary.
Do you consider what happened in court this morning a win or a loss?
I consider it some kind of a win, a partial win, but I also consider it a loss because now I still have more restrictions of that particular driveway and people that I visited, from the road for several years. So it's just, and then this 100-foot buffer goes right into the property across the road of a friend of mine. I cannot stand legally in his front yard that's near the road. So that's restricted. I can't stand in the public road of 100 feet around that entrance. And Cabot has 190 driveways, or so-called access roads, throughout our county. That's 190 spots in my county that I have to count. I have to not be able to stand. I have to be careful. So what kind of restriction is that for an American who is sounding the alarm and exposing an industry and all of its infractions? They have 560 DEP violations in our county so far in 5 years. I'm sounding the alarm, plus other citizens in our county. This is just going to make people possibly be more afraid to come forward because they will be dragged to court. They will be threatened with fines and jail, as I have been and am. And so others are afraid to come forward, even more so now. So what good is that doing? We should be able to be encouraged to expose an industry. We should be encouraged to be whistleblowers. And we should be protected, not given a hard time, not given further sentencing and restrictions of our civil rights. That's what's a problem in our country at this time. And I feel that the industry is coddled and the industry is given special exemptions and special privileges that nobody else can have, and particularly this industry, the fossil fuel industry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I'm upset with this lady.
Which lady? Her name is Vera?
Yeah,
Vera Scroggins?
Yeah.
A 63-year-old grandmother of 2?
A 63-year-old grandmother who runs around and uses obscenities like there's no tomorrow.
Because this lady is really a menace to the neighborhood, to the county. I mean, she has blocked driveways. She has blocked people. She's stopped people on the highway. She's used obscenities and countering people. She has annoyed people. She has she's done all sorts of things that really disturb the peace of this neighborhood, in this county. And the fact of the matter is that she has been She has
you're
a
talking
record.
about facts now?
She has a record that is self-evident. If you go on any number of sites, including one I published called Natural Gas Now, you'll see a record of things that she's done are absolutely pathetic. And I think what you see here today was utter contempt for the whole process. I mean, she kept trying to work in what she thought were cute little bits of evidence, which are nonsense. And she kept trying to work it in, really showing contempt in her attitude, her tone towards the court.
Your thoughts on the outcome? It seems no punishment, but the judge says it was a technical violation in a way.
Yeah, well, you know, that's fine. I mean, the point is that he did find her in violation of it, and she's been ordered not to do it again. That's the bottom line.
From your perspective, there's obviously a lot of people against the industry, against what's been happening here. Has this done good things for Susquehanna County?
Oh, it's done tremendous things. And when you say there's a lot of people who are against the industry, very few in Susquehanna County, because Susquehanna County has extraordinary success in natural gas drilling. If you look at Susquehanna County compared to Sullivan County, New York, which is just 30 miles to the east of here, where they don't allow gas drilling, and you compare those two counties, what you see is that Susquehanna County has gained tremendously in income. They were way behind 10 years ago before the gas drilling. Now they're right up there ahead of Sullivan.
And there's 212 cases of water contamination.
That's the situation that you see throughout the county. You see tremendous economic revival. You cannot go up and down the street or around this town and not see the economic revival this industry has brought to this area. And when the last Cabot picnic was had, you had thousands of people, like 8,000 people came out to support the industry and 3 protesters. That's the reality.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
What about the 212 cases of water contamination in Bradford
Bill,
County and Susquehanna County?
Yeah, well, you know the story on those, Bill. You read our blog and you'll find the facts.
Because anybody should be able to walk down the side of a road or cross a road as long as they're not causing any trouble, not protesting and impeding traffic, which the testimony in the court today was clear that nothing like that happened. We were just on part of a tour, and she does education. She should not be stopped from educating people in any way, shape, or form, as long as she doesn't interfere with their operations. And so I think the judge saw through, saying, yeah, well, maybe we're in violation, but he didn't have the intent to really, to do anything against the company. So he didn't impose anything. And that day, she clearly was very careful to tell us not to cause any trouble for the oil and gas company. So I think her intentions were clear.
4 miles of my house, 4 pipelines within between 1,000 and 1,500 feet. I got 3 pads around my house from 1,500 feet to 3,400 feet. I sit in the middle of that, so I'm totally against this stuff. At one time, I thought it was all going to be a great thing, and then I got smart.
Well, that's what happened.
House and wanted to go to Bill Healy's house. I guess she could get back in the car and go, that way, because then she would be in a car, or does it restrict her from being in a car on the road? I don't know. But anyway, if she was walking, she'd have to go back behind Ray's house, 100 yards in the woods, and then cross over to Bill Ely's house, and that's just ridiculous. She's not causing any trouble. She's not doing civil disobedience. She's just trying to educate the public, and I hope any injunction that's imposed will draw that balance between, Cabot's right to have a safe place and not restrict traffic, and her right to educate people.
David's in some ways a big corporation, the little guy.
Absolutely. I mean, they think. The first time was real they called her into court and she didn't have any lawyers, and that's when this injunction all got in place. If she had lawyers back then, I think it would have been much different. But she couldn't avoid lawyers, and I'd like to thank the ACLU and the other people who have stepped Scott and Vic, who have stepped up to the plate to help her, because otherwise she would have been back in there with no lawyers again.
Until the case is final, it's scheduled for trial December 11th. At that time, the judge will decide whether to make it permanent or vacate it completely.
Okay, so is the next court date December 11th then, or
yes.
What? He just halted it today because it's the end of the day, basically?
For the pretrial motions, there wasn't enough time to get those done today. My guess is he'll probably reschedule them sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so on December 11th, then what will be determined basically is where she can and can't go in the future.
Right. Forever. The restrictions on her liberty for the rest of her life, or until Cabot leaves town.
How do you feel about the restrictions on her liberty? Why did you get involved in the case?
Well, we originally got in the case, and speaking for Public Citizen now, because we felt that the original injunction entered against her was overbroad. Ultimately, Cabot came around to agree with that position, and in March, on our motion, the judge substantially narrowed the injunction and gave us, I'd say, about 90% of what we wanted in terms of getting rid of the restrictions on Vera Scroggins to go on properties that were leased to Cabot but on which there were no active operations. However, she still has applied to her under the new injunction several large buffer zones that force her to stay away from access roads and well pads even when she is on public right-of-ways or private property to which she has been invited. We believe those restrictions are too broad, and so we've been continuing to work toward a narrowing or elimination of those restrictions.
This is a relatively new industry. Horizontal, high-volume horizontal hydrofracking is a relatively new industry. And basically, nobody's ever done a comprehensive healthcare study. There's a lot of stuff coming in, but it's never been fully done by anybody in a real professional manner. New York State was kind of waiting for that, but then it didn't happen. The Geisinger study never got funded. So now we're in limbo where nobody really knows the full impacts of this industry. The gas isn't going anyplace. It's at historically low prices right now. We should stop, do the right thing, and really study this industry before we ever think about letting it come to New York State.